Yo, what up, boxing fans? It's been a minute since I've done an actual live video, but I had to do one for this one. June 7th, we've already had Pacquiao Bradley 2, good fight. Mayweather Maidana, really good fight. This fight is the one myself and I think the majority of boxing fans have been waiting for. Miguel Cotto, Sergio Martinez, taking place June 7th. We're a week away. Taking place live at the Mecca of Boxing, Madison Square Garden, live on HBO pay-per-view, and for the lineal middleweight championship of the world. The fight is at 159-pound catchweight. We had the face-off with Max Kellerman, and it was kind of funny. Martinez was like, he put him on the spot, like, who do you think will win? Like, no, you know, it's okay. And Cotto's like, no hard feelings. And he gave a diplomatic answer, but you know, this fight is really in a way a dream fight, or at least what you may have called it a couple of years ago. I mean, this fight was rumored at some point when Martinez maybe was at the point of still being able to make 154, and Cotto was already coming into 154, but obviously that never really materialized. It really never made sense because Martinez already went to 160, beat Kelly Pavlik, and knocked out Paul Williams in their rematch, and just went on to fight just the middleweight contenders, and in an era that didn't have a lot of dominant middleweights. So, but needless to say, he's defended his title, and he's run into bumps in the road, you know, in a sense, as far as, you know, fighting Chavez Jr., dominating that whole fight, and then getting hurt in the 12th round and almost, you know, getting dropped and almost stopped. Survived the fight and then fights Martin Murray and gets dropped in that fight too, and looks like a 38-year-old fighter. And afterwards we find out that, you know, he's got to get knee surgery. I think he's had 2 knee surgeries, and he had to get elbow surgery. And during this whole time he's been just healing. And he's been one of those guys, unfortunately, that hasn't been able to get a big money fight, as big a name in the sport that he is. He's you know, obviously wanted to fight Mayweather and fight Pacquiao, and Pacquiao's too small, at least in my opinion. I think Mayweather, in a way, I think he could fight him, but I think at the same time he's like, why risk it? Miguel Cotto is like that third slot where he's a money maker too, and he's kind of a guy that, for better or for worse, will fight anybody for the most part. And now you got 2 guys in the twilight of their careers meeting, and I think this fight could be fireworks, man. And I've used that term a lot, but I really think stylistically, man, this fight, as far as how I think it's gonna go down, I think could be one of the great fights. Sergio Martinez has been the guy to fight the bigger fighter. You know what I mean? I mean, you look at Pavlik, Paul Williams, even Martin Murray, Chavez. These guys, they're all bigger than him. And now he's fighting a guy smaller than him. It's a different dynamic. You know, how you approach the fight's got to be a little different. And he's really not used to that. And Miguel Cotto, on the other hand, is used to fighting bigger guys and being the smaller guy. Be it Margarito, be it Austin Trout, you know, in a fight that he lost. And you know, there's other guys, even when he was at 140, Kelson Pinto, who was a little too big for Cotto, so they say, and he beat the shit out of him. Obviously, Martinez is leagues above. What I've been hearing out of Miami is that Martinez looks moderately good, but it's still not really solid as to how healthy he is. I don't think we're gonna know that till the night of the fight, to be honest with you, because I'm hearing different things, and I think Miguel Cotto's approach for this fight has to be similar to how he kind of approached the Delvin Rodriguez fight, because Cotto's a guy who's not, he doesn't, he's a pressure fighter, but he uses intelligent pressure. You know, he uses the jab behind a lot of his moves. And another thing about him is he also knows how to get inside. He did it with Floyd. He did it with a lot of fighters, and that's why I've always said his footwork is underrated as far as how quick he knows or where to be and how to get inside on fighters. And to be honest with you, even like with Martinez, it could be a situation where like rounds 5, 6, and 7, you're starting to see the effects of a fighter who maybe isn't 100% healed, but needs, it's hard to turn down that payday. And when I look at both guys stylistically, Martinez could cause Cotto problems if it's a situation where he's very busy and constantly throwing combinations for the whole fight. I've seen people argue that Sergio Martinez is a better boxer than Miguel Cotto. I beg to differ. He's a rangier guy, but he's not a guy that, two things: one, uses his reach much, and two, doesn't use his height much. And when you got a guy like Austin Trout, to make the comparison, who fights tall and will work behind the jab and throws combinations, but doesn't fight to his fighter's height. And the times that he's done it, he's made the mistake and gotten hit. With both the Lara and the Canelo fights. With Martinez, he keeps his hands down a lot, and a lot of the times he's crouching down, and that leaves him in a way with the same height as what Cotto would have faced against like Floyd Mayweather or somebody of that height range. So I don't think the size issue is really going to play a big part unless Martinez switches up and fights tall, which I just don't see happening. This fight, to me, man, really is going to be predicated on how healthy Sergio Martinez is and how well Cotto can take a shot from Martinez. If Cotto could take a shot from Martinez, I would say on a, I don't want to say moderately consistent, but if through rounds 8 and 9 he's taking Martinez's best shots, I think Cotto has the ability and the experience to really, if he's going to use the strategy that I think Freddie Roach is going to implement, and that's really just cut the ring off on Martinez and make Martinez use his legs and test him and see how healthy they are. If they're not, man, I think Cotto might have a field day with Martinez. Now, if you're asking me, do I think Martinez is going to come into this fight 100%? My answer is no. I think down the stretch, Miguel Cotto, the experience, and I think really the overall fundamentals that I think Martinez lacks when it comes to this stage, and I think for a level of fighter of Cotto, even a guy who's a junior middleweight coming up, I think like sometimes, like how they say, skills pays the bills. And we've seen countless times like where somebody like Roberto Duran and Iran Barkley fought, and people thought Duran was going to get fucked up because of the size difference. And I just think in this case, this scenario plays out where I think Cotto is an underrated boxer in the case for fighting a guy like Sergio Martinez, who's defined as a slickster, but I don't think he's a slick fighter. I think he's a very athletic fighter. And I'm a big fan of Sergio Martinez. But I'm going to go against the grain, man. Like, I really think Cotto's going to win this fight. I really think... I think the ring generalship that he's going to implement in this fight is something that Martinez hasn't seen. And I think the style that Cotto has really gotten back to is the type of fight that he's got to bring to Martinez. I think during the Stewart and Pedro Diaz era, they turned Cotto into like a boxer. And he's a good boxer, don't get me wrong, but his bread and butter is attack. And attack the body and throw that left hook. I think Martinez's body is going to fail him. And I think, like I said, man, like I don't think he's 100% healthy. And I think Cotto is going to somewhat expose that. And I think the level of skill is going to show. And while I think Martinez is very athletic, Cotto, I think, is just that much better overall experience-wise and skill-wise. And I know, and I'm kind of one maybe out of many that thinks that the size issue is not going to play a part in this fight. So, but I have Miguel Cotto winning by a majority decision in a really good fight. You know, a lot of, you know, really anything can happen in boxing, man. I mean, this is a hard fight for me to predict. I mean, I would think that, like, I would think sometimes Sergio would just knock him out in like 6-7 rounds, and then I think Cotto will do this, that, and then vice versa. But this is a really hard fight for me to predict, just because I respect both guys and I'm a fan of both guys. And when I look at it, I just think when I test to see who has a little bit left more in the tank, I think it's Cotto, and I'm just gonna rock with that. But I expect a really good fight, and I wish I can be in the Madison Square Garden for that fight. I know a few people going, and that, I mean, I know that that's gonna be, you know, crazy as shit. So I have Miguel Cotto winning, like, I'm just gonna say by decision. And let me know what you think. Like I always say, man, I appreciate you know, subscribing and hitting the links and following the studio session predictions and all the different news and blurbs and the music videos and what have you. So let me know what you think. June 7th, I can't wait for this fight. I'm gonna be like super hyped the week leading in, man. But I have Miguel Cotto by decision, man. So as I always say, stay tuned, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back soon. Peace.